Okay, this is a quick follow on from the last video on what to do next once you have each of these headings. You have the text in them. Okay, now obviously this is a sketch based, so it's a freehand sketch based project. And why would you start with the text? Because the text is going to give you an idea of what is relative to what you're talking about. Okay, so for example, with the color, okay, um, is it necessary to put in a specific sketch around color? Maybe not. Maybe we should just maybe make it a bright color for it to stand out from the rest of these, or make it some sort of an image um, that stands out in terms of color. Maybe we could change this to a rainbow color or something like that to mention that it's talking about the different colors. Okay, but it's not relevant to create a sketch of the or sorry, not relevant, but it's not necessary to create a sketch for color. Okay, because what we're probably going to have is somewhere on our sheet we're going to have a large sketch. Now this is not a sketch like I said in the last video. This is just an altered image to make it look like a sketch. But we're going to have a large sketch of our food packaging somewhere along. It could be anywhere on the page depending on your project. But what we can do is we can mention color somewhere around it. Okay, so that it is, so that the person looking at this will know that color is relevant, and it's going to be right next to the large image, so it's going to be pretty obvious that it's this product we're talking about. So I've mentioned that it's a very bright and attractive, the color is very bright and attractive to young children who are the target market. So this is aimed at young kids. No, not to say that you can't have a milkshake either, but what I mean is it's bright and attractive, so it's going to attract the eye of young kids who like, for example, cartoons. You can see the cartoon here I mentioned in class, different things like that. Okay, now other, like in the last video, then I mentioned that around the food product that you could put in little images to attract the examiner or whoever's looking at this to the area. And for example, food product was a milkshake, and we said about how does the food product influence the packaging. So it must be moisture proof. Okay, so we have a little droplet in here. Now like I said, we're not going to use these images, but we're going to sketch something like them. Okay, and these were just for reference at the very start. But now, once you've all your headings covered, like I said, you're going to start doing your sketches. But it's not necessary, or it's not possible to just randomly draw a sketch and hope that it fits into your sheet once it's cut out. So what you're going to do is you're going to determine the size of the area in which you're going to put your sketch in. And what you can do then is you can lay out your project in such a way that you have spaces left for sketches of a certain size. Okay, and how are we going to do that? So you have two options. Option number one is we're going to just keep the image here, double click on it, and over here to the right. Now I cannot see the size. Okay, if I click this, can I see it? Okay, I can see it here now if I click the arrow, but you'll be able to see it here where my screen pointer is, but it's just the record thing is there and I can't move it. Okay, so at the moment that image is roughly taking up a size of 3.8 centimeter, 3.89 centimeters, and we just move it up to 4 there. Okay, so just keep it rounded off there. Now you can alter it here as well, or up here you can change the size of it, but this image is, maybe it's a bit wide. You see all the white area here, so I'm just going to double click on it and I'm going to go to crop here, and by cropping it I'm just going to take out all the unnecessary white area. Okay, and it's going to be approximately, then if I go to size, it's 4 centimeters tall by 2.6 or 26 millimeters. Okay, go down to 2.5 and go up to here. Okay, you can see they're kind of changing there. I think that's because it's a stock image and they're going to keep them keep the ratio relevant. Okay, now what does that mean for us then? So on a blank sheet of paper, okay, so because most of us are going to stick in our sketches, if you're brave enough to sketch onto it, which I don't suggest doing, because if you make a mistake, I will not be printing this several times for you to make mistakes. We'll be printing it once and you can stick in your images. Okay, so what you're going to do is on a blank sheet of paper then, and you can get this in class from your teacher, whoever's with you, me or whoever's with you in the relevant days. Okay, And you can draw a little box using your pencil. So just draw a box, and in this case it's going to be 4 centimeters high by 25 millimeters wide. Okay, and you're going to draw a light box just with pencil, and inside that box then you're going to fit the sketch of the milkshake. Okay, and then I will know by leaving this image untouched, and just before I print it off I can delete this image, and I'll be left with an area of that exact size as mentioned already. So I can't see it there, 40 millimeters by 25 millimeters. Okay, and I can cut it out and it will stick in there and fit perfectly in this area. The same goes for this one. If I double click on this one, it is a different size. Okay, and I can change the size of it or whichever. I can make it bigger, make it smaller, or if I drag the arrows, the corners of it to make the image larger or smaller. And again, we don't want too large of images if they're not totally relevant. Okay, now the same thing will happen then for our large sketch. Okay, now you obviously mightn't have a picture to put in straight away, so what you can do is you can do something similar to what I've done down here. Okay, now what I've done is I have put in a box and I've just typed into sketch of recyclable symbol. Okay, and that is the image that I had there in the last video, this image here. Okay, I'm going to sketch this, but I mightn't have a picture of that straight away. So what I can do is I'm going to delete this now and show you how to do it. Okay, we're going to go to insert, shapes, and you can create a square shape, or a rectangle is probably the easiest one. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly drag it to cover the area that I want. Okay, and then this is quite large, but it's just for hearsay circumstances. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to type rough idea of what you're going to sketch in there. So sketch of recyclable my brain just froze there. Recyclable logo. Okay, and that's why it froze, because it's not how you spell it either, is it? Maybe it is. So what I've done is I've just labeled what I'm going to sketch there, and then you're going to go away, and once you've this done, so for example underline geometry there, I could either put in this image or I could put in a shape again. Of my ellipse. I'm going to put the ellipse approximately this size here. Okay, and similar to the picture, if I double click on it up here, or if it doesn't come up, lads, if this window doesn't come up here, or this ribbon doesn't come up here on top, click on shape format. Okay, and it'll come up. I can check the size of it here then. Okay, and I'm going to make it a little bit easier. I'm going to make it 30 millimeters by 40 for myself. Okay, and all I'm going to do is sketch an ellipse there, a 2D ellipse. Obviously there's only one, so ellipses are 2D, but I'm going to put that in that area there, and it can't be bigger than that, and if it's smaller than that it's going to leave a lot of white space. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to make my ellipse sketch 30 millimeters tall by 40 millimeters wide. Okay, and you're going to sketch an ellipse. Now you might want to add more detail to it. So if I enlarge this image here now, you can see that there's a logo on it. Okay, you might want to incorporate that. Okay, so I might make it more relevant. And what we can talk about here then, so this is going kind of going back to the last video, but so we're going to insert a text box here underneath it. Just what are we going to talk about here? Okay, so this is the brand logo on the brand logo on the package. Why is it in caps? Because I click the caps button. Packaging is an ellipse. Okay, and again, like I said before, make it 12 at the moment. We'll go with center it up here, or you have two options. This one here doesn't look great, but we'll put this one here. We'll try this one. So something like that, and you'll have a sketch of an ellipse in there. But what we'll do is then, just before we print our projects, what we're going to do is just quickly delete that, and we'll be left with a blank space here then. Okay, we'll be this blank space here, just enough room to fit our sketch that was exactly 40 by 30 millimeters. Okay, so I hope that makes sense of what you're doing. So what you're going to do is you're going to aim to do all your sketches next. Okay, now you might come up with more ideas to add more sketches or more headings, and you can put those in also. Okay, it's entirely up to yourself. We can add to this after the midterm, but we want to get the body of the work done on this sheet before it.